Good morning, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Nice of you to join us. This is not your father's Philippines. This is not even the Philippines that you remember from the 70s. You better recognize it and you better get over it and accept it. And we're going to tell you why.
I never got it, why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
You know, they say that time and money are the great equalizers. And I tend to agree with that. The world evolves, cultures evolve, countries evolve, people evolve. And that's kind of where we're heading here. I think it's important that you recognize this. I think it's very important that if you're coming to the Philippines, you pay attention to the fact that it is not what you're being told in a lot of instances. So let's go through this. Now, I was raised in Asia as a child and then went to the United States. I was born in the US, went to Asia at about 4 months of age. And although we did occasionally visit the US to see family and such, didn't move back to the US to live until I was almost 13 years old, 14 years old. That being said, my memories of Asia are radically different than what is available now. Many of you look at bloggers that are relying and relaying information. And when we relay that information to you, sometimes it's tainted, it's biased. This is the way it was when I was there in the 70s. This is the way it was when I was younger. Well, shit changes, buddy. And you need to recognize it changes. And it's not just because expat change it. It's because the Filipinos are changing it. And here's a great example. Yesterday, Arlen and I had a opportunity to meet with one of our subscribers and her husband. They happen to be here staying at Candy, all right? And they happen to be visiting because they're in the middle of planning their final retirement, and Angeles is where they're going to plan it. Well, okay, great. Very interesting people. But here's what's really interesting. Okay, this woman, okay, she was born here in Angeles, met her Australian husband later in life, and they've been together, I don't know, a long time. I really didn't ask. And I don't want to give away too much. This is their personal life, and I'm not going to say a lot about it. But here's what's interesting. When you start talking about Filipinas and you start talking about Filipinos and you start talking about how things are and how backward the country is and how third world it is and all of the things that go with it, parts of that are very true and parts of it are not. This woman, I don't know why I call her a woman. I usually call women, no matter what age they are, young ladies. She's younger than me, that's for sure. Okay? And her husband. They've had very fruitful lives. Great. But before she even met her husband, she was an engineer. She worked in Manila. She come from a modest, nice family. And now they're actually buying land in Angeles, or not actually in Angeles. I'm not going to say where. It's none of anybody's business, but it's on the outskirts of Angeles. All right. And building. That's part of the future of the Philippines. When you start seeing all of these bloggers, there are certain things that you need to pay attention to. And I'm just going to put this out there, and I'll get a lot of hate comments and mail about this. All right. Here's what's really burned in my mind from our 3-hour conversation yesterday. It was actually very unique and nice. We had a good time. What happens here is this country's evolving, and its people are evolving. You have travel bloggers. These travel vloggers, they're not going to show you video of shit. They're going to show you beautiful videos because that's their job. That's what they do. All right. Then you've got other bloggers that tell you this is how you need to live. Arlen and I gave up on that. We don't tell people how to live. We never really have. Okay. Arlen and I, we just tell you how we live. Okay. What we do. Things that we're involved in. But you start to see all these parts and pieces, and you should start to recognize it's not all rainbows and unicorns. In fact, there's a lot of shit to it. And there's bloggers that show you that. But they don't show you the changes, the radical changes in the Philippines. Education is a big deal in the Philippines. But the migratory transition of people, which has always happened in the Philippines, continues. With the interaction of all of the social media, Filipinos live on social media, absolutely thrive on it. And it is just like this, just like you're watching this for a transfer of information. That's the way it is amongst Filipinos as well. They're moving information. They're moving experiences. They're moving ideas. And the generations are continuously absorbing this and growing. And I think it's great. I think it's good for the economy. I think it's good for the country. What will happen is eventually Filipinos will get sick and tired of a trip to the bank takes 45 minutes. That's what's going to change it. Filipinos will get sick and tired of driving around and not getting from point A to point B in a reasonable manner. In other words, what holds back transportation in the Philippines? 3 things, in my opinion. All right. Number 1, it is the total disregard for the law when it comes to driving. Number 2, Jeeps and trikes that absolutely stop in the middle of the road to drop people off. They stop on a corner where you can't turn a corner and go around them. They back up traffic. They slow down traffic. All right. And then finally, the infrastructure of the roads in the major cities is woefully lacking. But that's going to change. I mean, if you go through Manila right now, anytime, Quezon, all around Manila in the NCR, road construction is there. But let's get back to the crux of it. The Filipinos that we interact with and the Filipinos that we talk to and that we see, I'll give you a great example. You think the Philippines is poor. Okay. You think that Filipinos don't have two pots to piss in. Well, you're wrong. Okay. They've got more than two pots to piss in, and don't even think they don't. There's a lot of land that they own. There's businesses. There's everything else. We went, many of you know, I took a bad fall a couple weeks ago, slowly getting to that recovery process. And Arlene was in the province. She came back the day before, the day before the fall that I took. I went with a group of expats to Texas Roadhouse, a American franchise that recently opened at SM Clark. Great experience. So great that I was like, oh, Arlene, now that you're back, now that I feel like getting out, now that I can walk reasonably and ambulate, let's go. I want you to experience this. And so we went. It's not by Filipino standards, by the Filipino standards that you see on YouTube. This is not a Filipino restaurant. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. We went at 4:30 in the afternoon on a weekday, granted. Okay? Now they have an outside seating area and an inside seating area. And we sat down, and after a little bit, Arlen said something to me about a lot of Filipinos. And I looked around, and yes, in fact, outside there were, I think, 4 or 5 other tables of people besides ours. And inside I could see, because there's their place kind of goes deep a little bit, couldn't see far into it. But inside I could see about the first 2 or 3 rows of tables. We were the only foreigners. It was all Filipinos. Okay? You're not getting 150 peso meal at Texas Roadhouse. Filipinos do have money. All right? Outside with us, all Filipinos. Inside, Filipinos. You're thinking that Filipinos don't have money. You're thinking that they have to go here, or they eat at these calendrias, or whatever you call it, all the time. Okay? That they're going to eat chicken adobo and rice, which they do. But they have the money for other things too. All of these Filipinos were well dressed. Okay? They didn't look like they just came off the construction site. This is not your father's Philippines. And if you were stationed here in the 70s, this is not the same. And you need to recognize it and get over it. It's changing. And those of you that are thinking to come here, you'd better recognize it too. And the reason you better recognize it is because it's going to impact how you live. Point blank. It's going to recognize it. I get all these people, I see all these blogs. I saw a blog yesterday. I'm not going to say who. All right. Out of the, I don't know, somewhere maybe near Dumaguete, not far from Dumaguete. I don't remember. But anyways, this guy is showing an apartment for rent, saying this, hey, look, you know what? You can rent this apartment for $60 US a month. I shit you not. I would live more comfortably in the master bedroom of our Phoenix home than in this place. It was a dump. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was clean. Tiles were falling off the countertop, windows, no aircon, no lighting. It wasn't even a flush toilet. In other words, it's a toilet, you pour water in it and then flush it. Okay, you put water in the tank and then flush it. Doesn't even have water hooked up. Okay? No hot water, and they didn't turn on the water faucets to show it. And yet, you people, or not you people, and I'm not blaming anybody, but people are believing this crap. People see this shit that other people put out by title, and then they don't even watch it to see how absolutely unacceptable it is. Our advice, as always, get on a plane, come spend a month, and look around. All right? Don't be partying your ass off for the whole month. Spend some time looking at different locations and different living conditions. Then make a make a decision as to whether the Philippines is for you or not. Just the way it is. Okay? Can't help it. It was just very opening. Hey, look, love to hear your comments about it. Otherwise, have a great day. Please subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notify bell. Bye.